20 days ago, Mark got me crash landed on Mars, and then he almost died. And who could forget the time that, well, he almost died. But in the end, Mark lived. If you can really call this living. Okay, so, full disclosure, this is the second time that we were going to be going through the next 10 days of Stationeers, and the reason for that is actually incredibly, comically simple. The game updated, and with it came a whole bunch of great updates. For example, we've now got combustion deep miners, very cool, can't wait to check that out, but more importantly, we now have functional tanks. Gas tanks previously had this weird gimmick where they would be their own network even if connected to like a long pipe, so like if I had a tank on the end of this, I would have two different pressure readings in each one, which makes no sense. Now they're one network, it just makes the network that much bigger. So, because of that, all the atmospherics work which I had already done in days 21 to 30 had to be redone, or rather, is about to be redone. So, for once, maybe, possibly, we might actually have a plan, because I've already done it before, so if anything it was that we had a dress rehearsal, and this is the final stage show, and I'm already floundering. Oh god, day 21's gone. It's taken from us too soon. However, what has not yet been taken from us is our ambition, because we are once again going to scale. That is going to be the entire modus operandi from this point onwards. Everything we do at scale. No more half prints or falsified documents or illegal reports to the taxman. No, sir, we do everything big time, okay? We don't pay tax at all. I don't know where I'm going with this. Please don't audit me. What the psychosis I'm currently experiencing was intending to say is that we are now going to start working in larger magnitudes. And to do that, and to make that more convenient, I would like to use some stackers. These are pretty useful little tools, and what they do is allow you to, well, stack things. And we'll demonstrate that in a second. And in order to make that even more convenient, let's get a couple of chutes. I have one of them over here. There's two, and I want a third. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, and we need 3 of these things then as well. Oh, something else we can do while that prints is get ourselves some more filters, specifically carbon dioxide filters, because ours are currently out. For which, apparently, I need Constantin, which I think is hiding in here. It's sought refuge within the enemy. Okay, there we go. We've got what we came here for. Now, are you ready for the single most satisfying element of this game? Are you ready? Are you ready? Listen carefully. Oh, yeah. Rocketworks Dean Hall, if you're listening, and I know you are, give whoever made that sound 3 paycheck raises. I want an order of magnitude more money in their bank account by the end of the month. That is one of the single best just game sound effects I've ever damn heard. Okay, I need my Electrum. Who's got my Electrum? With his auditory nerves sufficiently satisfied, Mark began the process of installing all of the stackers, which should help keep the physics engine at bay. He then spent some time printing up some additional mining backpacks and the crayons to go with them, before exiting stage left, pursued by some more. Day 22 flew past in a malaise of industry, as the printers hammered out some construction materials while Mark rummaged around in the Martian regolith like the little worm boy he is. Okay, what did we end up with here? A whole bunch of cable coils, that's pretty sweet, and a whole bunch of steel frames and sheets. Beautiful. You know what? You can stop right there. That, to me... Oh, it was the last one. Even better. That, to me, is a pretty good set. Okay, before I do anything else, I'm going to put all of this inside this airlock so it doesn't get blown away in case a storm comes in. And then we're going to print some more lockers, I guess. And then let the renovations begin. Also, by the way, I should point this out. If you look at the bottom right corner, you'll see it still says it's day 22. This is incorrect. We are very much in day 23 territory. The game has kind of just given up on tracking the days. It's a very weird bug, but it is fairly consistent. So don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to the one we tell you it is. You can trust us. You don't need your eyes. You haven't needed those in years. Alright, let's take off our stinky suit and helmet, and let's admire what we're looking at here. We have a ton of potato seeds ready to go, and these ones are about to hit seeding, so I'll wait till they do. Now, we're going to use 1 row of seeds to replace the plants in there, and then we'll get 2 potatoes per. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, meaning we can get 18 more growing stations, hydroponic stations, which is absolutely what we're going to be doing. Honestly, I was going to plan on expanding the space, but I think maybe we do that first. Or actually, we should, before we expand the room, we should probably pull these up and not plant new ones. Just to make, does that still turn on? It does. Just to make sure that we don't accidentally kill these, now that I think about it. Yeah. Okay, in that case, let me take your seeds. A bit of an insurance policy. Alright, but without further ado, I do actually want to get started on the space upgrade, so let's take a look at what we want to do. I want to turn this greenhouse into a 5x5 footprint, maybe with a nice little sort of railing going around it, and I think we're probably going to move it up a floor. So I'm going to have a 2-story room here. I think we're going to have a living space in the bottom and the greenhouse on top. So we're talking kind of a, you know, party in the front. Wait, no. Party in the back, business in the front type of deal, if you know what I mean. I sure hope you do. Oopsie, 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 oopsie. This is a little trick called turning your vents on while your furnace is actively combusting. It's a great way to burn everything in your base down. I'm a real good pro at that, let me tell you. Okay, bunch of silicon. Beautiful. That's what you want to damn well see. And I'm going to go start ringing this dang hair base in windows. And in fact, let me show you exactly what that's going to look like, so you have no illusions. The windows will face outwards. Like so. And they'll be placed down. Are you ready? Are you riveted yet? Is this the content you came here for? Oh man, my kingdom for some angled windows. I'd love a little bit of stylization in the game. You know what? I should check the workshop. Maybe there's something out there. Okay, so there was something out there, and I already had it installed. It's called Tube. This right here, this is the Tube. A Tube. Oh, I turned it on and off, didn't I? Tube over here is actually a pretty cool mod. What Tube does is it gives you rounded shapes in Stationeers. I didn't know they had the technology for this. I'm amazed to see how these work. Okay, so we got some tubes, and I can build, oh yes, I can build rounded windows, and it comes with them all sort of pre-installed. That's pretty sweet. Okay, cool. Let's make use of this. By day 24, Mark's bachelor pad was looking a whole lot more impressive. Okay, look at that. We've got rooms within rooms within rooms over here. Now, I'm pretty sure all of that is airtight, and I kind of like these curved windows. I figured, you know what, rather than having them curve out, which I've seen done before, what if we made it look like a silly little hat? Or a Korean temple, which I'm a big fan of. So it kind of like curves upwards, you know, sort of towards a roof. But we've got to pick up the rest of these potatoes real quick. This is very important because the next step is going to involve killing them. And they don't typically like that to be done, from what I know. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to take the most nerve-wracking step of this entire playthrough and break open this busted-ass window. And all the air in that room is going to flood out and hopefully not escape the premises. The pressure is not dropping, it's just equalizing. Oh my god, we actually did it? It's sealed. This is a sealed environment. Now, there's a bunch of pollutants and junk in here. That's okay. We can filter that out later. The most important thing to note is that it's sealed. All right, well, we can pressurize this back up again so that we can eat and drink more comfortably. And I suppose, you know, I'll dump those ones there to take a bit of temperature out of the room, but we can actually put this one into the ice crusher. And we can crush some water as well. Might as well. And yeah, since I'm here, let's eat and drink. Okay, I'm going to now reclaim all of these resources. Speaking of which, I do want to get recycling up and running at some point. Probably when we build a proper workshop. I'm just going to be very careful I don't accidentally rip out one of the exterior windows, because I've done that before. And let me tell you, it hurts. Okay, now I can say with some possible confidence that I remembered to weld in the frames underneath these ones, thus ensuring that when I remove these walls, and that I put glass on the outside. We're gonna find out when I remove this wall. Are we gonna vent the entire base? Who knows? Well, it hasn't left the premises, per se. That's a window. Would you believe it? Windows all round. Hell yeah. Okay, now, sincere question, and a good one. Why did I just do that? I want to see if I can get this in there first. Oh, he shoots and he scores. Because I want more space in this room. I want as much floor space as possible, because this is going to become our living quarters, / kitchen, / bathroom, / many other things. I do want to get a shower running at some point. Just to make our for the cleanliness bonus. You get some nice perks for being squeaky clean. But we do also need to now move all of this stuff. So where are we going to move it? Well, that is going to constitute phase 2 of today's operation, which is going to be to move all of this crud downstairs. Specifically, all of this supplementary material. I want to build a little platform underneath the greenhouse, soon to be the house, and we're going to move all of this sort of like atmospherics equipment and crud down there, and then we'll just have pipes coming up that we can interface with directly. But the actual tanks and things, I want out of sight, out of mind. I just vented so much air because I clicked the button 2 times. Oh, life in here is, and by in here I mean inside my head, is just it's a journey waiting to unfold every single day. Can you just go into me? Thank you. I'm fine. Doctor, please put away the stethoscope. Take out the colonoscopy scope or whatever it's called. Colonoscope? Diggy hole. I'm gonna go dig a hole. I'm gonna go dig the damn hole. Day 25 dawned with Mark putting the final touches on his new basement floor. Alright, very nice. We've got ourselves a big old platform down there that we can now work with. So, what are we going to do with it? So, this over here is a small tank, insulated. The insulated part is very important. Not only does it make it ridiculously expensive, in fact, you'll see that it is a 20 steel, 30 silicon per tank build over there. But if you have 5 of them, you can make them a biggin'. This fella right here. Now, this is why we had to do the whole rigmarole with restarting this episode's recording, and it's because these tanks have fundamentally changed, as I described. Previously, their behavior was really, really bad, where if they were connected to the same network, there would actually be 2 different devices on the same network, whereas now they will be one network, one pipe network, that is. So, I'm actually not going to build all of these at scale. For now, we're going to build them
bitty tiny little ones.
And then we'll scale them up later. Because what I actually want to save my silicon and my steel for is pipes. We don't have enough gas at the moment anyway for this to really be a problem. So I think we just invest the remaining 98 silicon into being 98 pipes, because believe you me, kiddo, we're gonna need them. Oh, we can take what we have accumulated here, there, and we can start going down there and doing some design work. In fact, I'm actually also going to bring some of my spray paints. I also want one other spray paint, which I don't have yet, which is khaki and gray, maybe. Oh, and you know what we should do before we do anything else? Is get light down there. Because I'm going to be doing a lot of this design work, and if the sun sets, which it's about to do, we're not going to be seeing anything. So, lights first, then hydropon. Then atmospherics, yes. Lights, atmospheric, action.
Action is coming. I promise you.
You're laughing. Action was coming, and you're laughing. Despicable. I can barely look at you. But now Mark can. on account of the lights. Because he can see you. He can see you because he has lights. And so now he can see you. Okay. Just a little bit more design work. Just a little touch, you know? I can stop anytime I want. Yes. A little bit better. Now, believe it or not, the terrain in this game is actually airtight, so you can build cave bases, but some stuff does still need to be built on frame, so it's not like you can get away without any building materials. But you can save a lot if you go that route. It is an interesting way to do it. Alright, anyway, I've now got myself some insulated tanks and a bunch of pipes, of course. Let's go do something with them. And that terrifying hellion in the sky, my children, does indeed herald day 26. Okay, but what are we actually going to do with all this space now that we've got it? Well, what we're going to do is place down some tanks. We could put down the big ones, big old chungus over here, but we don't really have the resources. We're kind of out of everything that is used to make them, and I can't be asked to go out mining again right now. That's the beginning of the episode thing. These are definitely starting to fall into a certain format. What we can do is we can kind of build as if we've got big tanks. So we know the big tank sort of comes to here when it's built, so we'll plan around that. And that sparks joy. Beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna have our, let's say, carbon dioxide tank over here. You can be the oxygen tank, sure, why not? Then we're also gonna want to grab up the nitrogen that is in that room. We might as well keep installed the pollutants. I can't see a reason not to. And then I suppose over here, if I had to pick something, what would I want to put in here? Well, I don't really want to store hydrogen or nitrous here. We have no need for that whatsoever. So instead, we will flip things. You can be the pollutants, and you will become a water tank at some point, actually. Which actually means we've got 5 extra tanks surplus. We can use these for other things. We don't have to place them here. Although I am tempted just to do all the gases down there. What have we got? We got oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and pollutants currently down there. We could just put nitrous and volatiles, and then we've got everything in one place. We won't need it there. We'll actually need it somewhere else, but we can run pipes, and I do like the symmetry of it all just being in one place. So screw it. Screw it. We're doing it live. Okay, so that will be one of them, and that will be the other one. Okay, we don't have enough resources right now for all of this. We can build virtually all of these. I think we're going to be missing one filtration kit. So I'm going to build my filtration kits right over here. And they are going to face away from one another, as such. There we go. And we'll do this at each line. Oh, I'm actually too shy. Okay. Now, the filtration units are going to filter the gas that we feed them from a central pipeline over here into these tanks, right? We also do need a water tank, which I'll probably put right over here in the center. So let's start running this pipe. This is going to be the pipe that comes from our greenhouse, right up there. But basically what we want to do is take all the gas that is inside that greenhouse and shove it into a pipe. And that pipe is then going to be sort of sequentially filtered by these machines as it goes. So let's wire up the inputs of all of these now. Okay, we'll prep that one for later. Let me actually get them fully built, for which I need some regular pipes, I believe, and some cable coils. Okay, beautiful. So now we can actually see what we're doing. This is going to make a little bit more sense, I hope. Within each of these devices, there are 3 valves, right, that you can input things into or output them from. The input will take gas from whatever network it's connected to. Could be the world, could be this pipe, could be a tank, could be anything, right? And it will run it over some filters, whatever we put into these slots. So let's say, for example, that I want this to be my CO2 filter. What I can actually do is actually steal my filter from my suit and stick it in there. And now any gas in this pipe will be filtered through this machine. The CO2 will be spit out here and go into this tank. So we can connect that up. And whatever remains, right, so everything that is not CO2 is going to be spat out of this port. So what we want to do is actually just put that right back into the main pipeline.
죄송합니다. 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 The atmospheric unit's behavior has changed. Now there must be a great pressure differential between the input pipe and the output pipe for the second waste disposal. I have failed to take note of this. Please, take this cat as penance for my incompetence.
Okay, but I'm going to continue to connect all these up. The outputs need to go to the tanks, and then I think we need to get some spray paint down here so that it's a bit more visually obvious what I'm doing. Okay, next up, we're not done. We need to wire up all of the cabling, and the cabling is going to also go that away, I think. All right, so this is all wired up to itself. Now we just need to take it upstairs and get it connected to the greater grid. To do that, we are going to need a transformer to power all of this. We're going to need filters to make those machines actually do something. And so let's get started on all that. Okay, let's stick some filters where they belong next. So this one I want to be CO2, and I'm actually just going to ditch this light filter. I don't trust it. If that thing runs out, it's going to cause all sorts of problems for us. And then we might as well just put down our other filtration units while we're here. So that is going to be my, that'll be for one of the nitrous or the hydrogen. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so you can be for pollutants. And then you down here, you're going to be oxygen. And then I'm going to come back with some spray paint because I can't keep track with what the hell we're doing here. Okay, and then going with the plan, you are going to be a nitrogen filter. Let's start spray painting things. So this is going to be for pollutants. I want it yeller. There we go. This mixed line is going to be gray, right? This is going to be just the random crud coming into the pack. You are going to be my CO2 one, and I want you khaki. I know CO2 is gray in here, but not for me. You're going to be oxygen, so you will be white. You are going to be nitrogen, so you'll be black. Perfect. This one here is going to be for volatiles, so we'll make it red. And this one will be for nitrous, so we'll make it green. Okay, lovely. Now, let's do some wiring. Okay, so as before, this is going to be our tank area transformer. Okay, we're going to set that to 4,999 pixies, just like so, and then we're just going to give it power from the base. That easy. And now we can run cables down to connect to these machines. Just like so. Beautiful. Okay, so that's all connected up. And now we ostensibly have power down here. Yes, we do. Okay, so we can just leave these things running, and if we put any gas in this line, it will begin to siphon it out into these tanks, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. Now, we do still have quite a bit we need to do. We're not done, but that is a very good start. I'm going to go put away my spray cans, finish building those filters, well, those filtration units rather, and then we're going to work on the actual greenhouse side of things, because it is day 27, my old friend. Oh, it's terrible to see you, I won't lie. I'm not prepared for your presence in the slightest, but we're going to forge forward as we always do. This is what we've got to work with up here. So the bottom floor is going to eventually become living quarters. We'll put a second floor in, and we'll put the plants on the second floor. That's all coming up. We got bigger problems to fry right now. And those specifically are that we need to actually improve the layout of this slightly. I think I want to take away this frame so that the airlock is a bit smaller. That's one thing we could do. We could also not do that and then have a big old frame in here. Honestly, I'm kind of 50-50 on which one I like the most, so I guess for now we'll just leave it. We need to have a way to take gas out of this room and put it into that line, and then we need to have a way to put gas back into this room. And I think we're just going to do that with this pair of passive vents that we're looking at right now, like this set right over here. We're going to pull these up, we're going to turn that off, and we're going to say, okay, your time filtering oxygen is over. The time of the passive vent is now. Going to make sure that that is a back pressure regulator. And we want it facing in this direction. Okay, so you will let air out of this room. Okay, so just remember the placement here. Pressure in on our right, pressure out on our left. Okay, cool. We can make that work. With a clear plan in mind, Mark began by hooking up the greenhouse's output line first. This was very simple and just connects to the shared filtration pipe that all our atmospheric skids feed from. The input line was slightly more complicated, as he'd need to mix the gases he wanted to place back into the base in a controlled ratio. This is achieved by the use of a gas mixer. A ratio of 80% oxygen to 20% carbon dioxide was chosen to maximize the breathing potential of all the greenhouse inhabitants. The atmospheric's outputs were linked up to each other, and the gas mixer was set to work. Day 28 is here, and it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Oh, baby, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's start by spray painting that. There we go. Now we're ready. We can take a look at what is inside this pipe real quick. So this has been letting stuff into the pipe from the greenhouse for a while now, and we're at 2.3 megapascals. Pretty chunky amount of gas, if you ask me. We can then turn on this oxygen unit, and you'll see that the oxygen content in this pipe will begin to rapidly decrease. And the reason that's happening is because it's being placed inside this tank over here. We got 43 moles of oxygen and climbing, yes. Then let's do the same thing with the CO2. We'll turn this on and you'll see that, yes, look at that, our CO2 content climbs as well. Very cool. Then we'll do the same thing with the nitrogen and the pollutant. And before we know it, everything in this pipe is going to be vacuumed out and will be stored safely in these tanks for use later. That is pretty damn sweet. But now, just having it in the tanks doesn't really do anything for us, right? We also want to be able to use it upstairs. And so that's what this return line was for. We're going to turn on the gas mixer, and as you'll see, it will now start placing a perfect 80-20 mix of O2 and CO2 into this line. This will then be let out back into the greenhouse. For the moment, I am actually going to completely shut this off because we are going to temporarily vacuum out our greenhouse. We're going to completely vacuum it, and the reason for that is that I want to take out a lot of that gas mix. Think of it like this. If you've got, I don't know, whiskey and Coke in a glass, and you want to take out all the whiskey and replace all the Coke so that you've got all the whiskey in one glass and all the Coke in the other, you could potentially, somehow, manage to sort of pour out a bit of whiskey, pour out a bit of Coke, pour out a bit of whiskey, pour out a bit of Coke, but you're always going to end up with a bit of mix going on both sides. It's easier just to dump out the glass and start from fresh, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Except in this case, we're dumping the glass into a big old bucket, and then we're going to filter out what we want from that. So I actually need an active vent, which is not something we've used for a while, and we are going to siphon out this room entirely. Basically, we're just going to swap that thing out for an active vent and pump this all out. Okay, and then we turn this on. Well, actually, before I do that, let's quickly just eat and drink before we vacuum this out, and let's harvest the potatoes, because that's going to kill everything involved, including me. Especially me. That's the one I'm most worried about, to be honest. Okay, do your thing. As you can see, we are pressurizing that pipe, depressurizing this room, and actually, I gotta turn this one off for a second. You should have nothing in that return pipe right now. Yeah, you don't. Okay, perfect. Actually, we can leave you on then, because you don't have anything to pressurize with. And just like that, we have pulled the last little morsels, or almost the last little morsels out of this room. Okay, so now the process is going to be to mixing it back into an atmosphere we actually want, right? And considering that most of it was oxygen and CO2, we'll have a little bit less pressure, but not too much less. And it's going to work out great. The sun has set on day 28, and looking at our gases in this room, pressure's pretty high still. I mean, it's pretty high is a pretty relative term. It's at like 70 pascals, which I'm pretty sure would turn you inside out in just about as much time as it takes to think about it. But how did it go there? Anyway, speaking of turning things inside out, we need to now flip this system. Once we get an actual nil reading in the bottom right, which will take a while, these little vents take a minute to do this, but we only have to do this once, right? We can then go in and turn back on our gas mixers and let the goodness flow. So right now we've got this turned on, but there is nothing in this pipe, right, to replace the atmosphere that was in this room. At the moment, it is currently pumping nothing. Meaning that as soon as we can process what is in here, which as you can see is actually actively being processed right now, 16.4 megapascals of return pipe is being chipped away at with 2,000 kilomoles. Sorry, 2 kilomoles of O2 is very reasonable, and 413 moles of CO2 is pretty good. But that's only the gas we sort of brought with us, right? We haven't added anything additional to our system. And that's no good. We're going to need a lot of gas to pressurize our base, and we're going to want to be able to pressurize our base repeatedly. Oh goodness, I can't speak. And so to do that, we might as well just steal it from Mars, right? Mars has a bunch of the gases we want already. In fact, all 4 of them that we've been capturing. It has oxygen, nitrogen, CO2, and pollutant. Now, of course, the ratios are kind of off. It's not exactly what we want. It's mostly CO2 with a little bit of everything else. But we can use that CO2. We can put that in this tank, and we can put that tank into our room, and the plants can turn it into oxygen that we can put into here, that we can then put into here, that we can then put into, over here. Yes, this guy. I forgot how to zoom out. I'm going to wait for that to fully vacuum out, but while it works on that, we can actually work on a gas capture system, like to take some of the Mars air and store it for our own use. And we've got this space right up here. We've got a connection to this pipeline. So I think I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to put another tank on the ceiling, which is actually going to be for this filtration line, right? Because we can put just about anything in here. we are going to put a gas sensor up there. We're going to put a big old vent up there to suck up Martian atmosphere, and we're going to need a little bit of logic to control it all. And to be honest, we'll probably just control it off of one of these machines right here. There's no need to build another IC housing. Also, because it's going to bother other people, and therefore it's going to bother me when I have to respond to them about it, I am going to just tweak these corners so that they are somewhat more aesthetic. Alright, we officially have a nil reading in here, which means we can pick that up, chuck it over there, and rebuild this system as well. Okay, lovely. So, weather station could just go right here, to be completely honest. We need data and power to it. Okay. I'll stick her... You know, might as well just stick it up here then, right? Alright, so now, if I remember correctly, I should be able to just turn this thing on. And if there is a storm, it'll, like, flash warnings at me. Or something. Where is it? There. Okay, green means that there's no storm on the way, if I remember correctly. We will get this connected up to like a screen at some point and some sirens or whatever. Power mode, error activates. No storm is 0, storm incoming, in storm. Okay, no actual explanation. Why would there be? That'd make it too easy. Okay, well, there's not flashing red, so I'm assuming no storm for now. Day 29 dawned on Mark setting up for a heist. The large powered vent would siphon Mars's air when we told it to, and the additional tank would make sure it didn't blow up a pipe while doing so. Since he already had the pins on the O2 filter free, Mark decided to use it to control this system directly. Turns out you don't need IC housings. Alright. So let's start with the basics. We're going to use this oxygen filter over here to control... I think we'll use it to control that... that sensor and this vent. So it'll do the gas recapture for us, and then I'll probably use the pins on the CO2 filter to control the return pipe. Just because they're local and we've got the pins, and you know, there's no reason to use a whole dedicated chip if you don't have to. Okie dokie, quick code review. So this is the exact same script we used in episode 1. I've just tweaked it, right, to account for the new devices we're going to be using. So it's the old O2 filter script. We've gone through it before. We know how it works. All I've done is add in basically like a little bit of a function list. So what's going to happen is the program will start with line main on line 9. It'll go down to line 10, and then this little command here is going to say, hey, before you do anything else, jump to whatever line in this script is named filter oxygen, which for us is line 16. So it'll jump from here down to line 16. And this will run the commands to filter the oxygen and maintain the O2 pressure in that tank, the one that we set up in episode 1. So we've seen all that before. Once it's done doing that, it'll wait for a tick, and then it'll jump back up to whatever the line that it jumped from was, +1. It's a long-winded way of saying it'll jump back up to the next line from where it left off. So it's going to jump back up to 10, add 1, which will make it 11, and then execute this command, which is going to tell it to do the exact same thing. It's going to jump to the line named Mars Gas Capture, which is down here at 24. It's then going to run this script, yield, and then jump back up to line 11 +1, which is 12, which tells it to wait. Then it jumps back over, then it goes down to here, which tells it to jump back to main. And we loop again and again. So what are we doing with the Mars Gas Capture? It is stupidly simple, okay? We are going to siphon air from Mars if the temperature in the temperature in the air is over 6.5 Celsius. It's that easy. We turn the vent on. Now, this will work for a while until eventually we overpressurize that tank, and then kaboom! Just magic, a nuclear explosion from Terminator. You know the one I'm talking about? Just Alright, but this isn't an ideal setup, right? Because it will eventually fail. We might as well build in a little bit of a failsafe to make sure that doesn't happen. So, I need to add in an additional variable. Right now we've got this turn on, which is saying like, hey, turn on if the air temperature is above 6.5 Celsius. And this number is in Celsius, I do believe. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Sorry, it's in Kelvin, which means we need to do a little bit of a conversion. I always forget to do this. So this is going to be us converting to Celsius. And of course, you could convert to Fahrenheit if you have a problem. But over here in the the rest of the world, we just use good old Celsius. So we want to take the air temperature that we're reading from the sensor, and we want to subtract 273 from it, which is what makes it Kelvin, and then we'll be reading it in Celsius, which is just easier for me with my piddling Western mind to understand. So we're going to then set, we're going to basically say turn the thing on if it's greater than 6.5 Celsius, but that's no bueno, because we don't want to just turn it on. We also want to check the pressure. Okay, so next up, we're going to load the tank pressure from our O2 filter's pressure input, and I'll show you why we're using this variable in a second. And we're just going to check whether or not the pressure over there is less than 15 kilopascals. If it is, we want to make sure we turn our vent on. But we only want to turn our vent on if both of these functions are true, or both of these values are true. To do that, we can use the AND variable. So we're going to say turn on, right, when both R5, which is our temporary variable, and R6, which is our temporary variable for the pressure, are both true. So if this is 1 and if this is 1, set this to 1, and then of course set the large vent to turn on, right, to be 1. However, if either one of these is not true, if we either have too much pressure or the temperature is too low, then this will be 0 and the vent will stay off. This is very important because if we only did temperature, we would eventually blow up. If we only did pressure, we would be pulling in cold gas. We need to check both values. So we just use the simple AND function. So I'm going to hit export. I'm going to stick it in there, and it's going to flash an error because it doesn't have the devices connected, right? We're missing, yes, our sensor, and we're missing our vent. Okay, so it should stay off right now, yes, because the temperature is incorrect, so it's not turning on, which means the script is working as we intended. Lovely, and I need to go around and label all this stuff because I need to, make sure we're not mixing anything. Okay, so for the CO2 filter, we're going to do things a little bit differently. And in fact, I need to add a few more pieces to my network here before we can do anything. I want to build one of these, which is going to be a pressure relief valve. This is literally just going to connect immediately to this pipe. Super straightforward. Yeah, and so basically what we're going to do here is just whenever this tank gets over a certain pressure, I want this thing to let the pressure out. Now, these do have a pretty low max rating, but I'm going to... The script should turn things off when it gets to 15, but I'm going to let this out at like 14,500, just so that we've got a constant flow. I want this thing to always be siphoning it off. And there we go. So we're nowhere near the pressure that this thing should be letting stuff out at, because we shouldn't be letting anything out. This is a pressure regulator. I'm trying to pressurize the planet. We're doing it again. Back pressure regulator. You know what? We can build a little bit more conservative. Let's do 14,850. So it's just going to constantly let a little trickle of gas out at all times. Okay, turn you on, and you should not be pumping my gas out there anymore. No, you're not. Okay, lovely. We'll spray paint you at some point. Then I need to set up some pipe heaters over here. And this is just going to be to control the temperature of our line. Where does the switch on this thing? Oh, temperature of our line up there going to the greenhouse. You know what? Let's actually do it up here. Yes, because I want data connected to the low power, but I want the high power stuff going to the batteries. So just to be completely clear, this is connected to our gas return line, the one that's storing basically our surplus, our extra gas for our greenhouse. I want to say this build has been quite clean for the most part so far, so that's pretty good to see. And then we want to connect these up. Oh, daytime. Which means we should see if this vent system works pretty soon. I'm excited for. Day 30 maintained the established 3-act structure of this series by opening with some hot programming action. Crud, bit of a recording mix-up there. Sorry about that, we missed some of the scripting, but don't worry, I'm going to explain what this all does. So this is going to be the script that runs on our CO2 filtration machine, but again, because we've got those extra pins, we might as well do some of the additional work on it, right? We want to control our gas line, so let's do that, our return gas line to the greenhouse. So the code at the beginning is exactly what you've seen before, with the exception though that we now have the pipe heater defined. We want to talk to all the pipe heaters on this data network. For now, it's going to be as simple as doing all of them. Eventually, we might need to split it up and specifically name them, but there's only these ones for now, so I'm being lazy. We're going to check the output pressure on the tank, and of course, we're going to turn the filter on if the tank pressure is too low, but we've seen all that before. The real change here is actually here in the line pressure and temperature. So I went upstairs and I salvaged that pipe analyzer that we used to have connected to the oxygen tank since episode 1, and I've taken it back down here to work on these pipes instead. So our loop now looks like this. We'll start at main, we will check and filter the CO2, we explained that 100 times, and then we will do the gas check on the greenhouse return line. And this is where things get a little bit more interesting, because we're using some slightly more advanced coding tips. And honestly, this is new territory for me, so I'm very interested to see if this works. So the very first thing we're going to do is turn off our pipe heaters. I just want to make sure that those are not running if they don't need to be, and they only run when they need to, right? So right off the bat, as a safety check, we just always turn them off. Easy peasy. Then we're going to go and load in the pressure on the actual return line and the temperature on the actual return line. And we're getting all that from the pipe analyzer, which is right over here. I salvaged it from upstairs. Okay, so with our temperature and pressure loaded, and of course our temperature converted to Celsius, that gets us down to line 32 over here. What we're going to now do is our very first branch command. These are really, really powerful if you know how to use them, and it took me a while to wrap my head around it, but it's really, actually, like most of this, not that complicated when you sort of understand what it's doing. So a branch in MIPS, or IC10, which is the coding language we're using here, is kind of like a fork. What it'll do is it'll do a little logical check. It'll say, hey, do what we've done before, which is like check, we've been setting something if it's less than something, or setting something if it's greater than something, which we're doing right over here. Instead, what I want you to do is, if it happens that the line temperature, right, is less than 25 Celsius, I want you to jump to branch to the line named gas heaters. And as we've seen above with these jowl commands and the jump commands, it's going to take us down to whichever line, which in this case is 41, that is named gas heaters. Okay, so how does gas heaters work? Well, if the temperature in the pipe happens to be 25C, we jump here. Or happens to be less than 25C, sorry, we jump here. If it is over 25C, then the actual other checks commence. So at the beginning, we will check if the line pressure is under 1 megapascal, and then we will check if the line pressure is greater than or equal to 25C. So basically, is it warm enough, and is there enough pressure? If either one of those is true, then we want to turn on the gas mixer. And my rationale for this is as follows. If the temperature is too high, well, it's going to go into the greater room, it'll get filtered, it'll get mixed with tanks, it'll hopefully equal out. If the pressure is low, and it could actually eventually get to 0, then the pipe heaters won't have anything to heat, so we want to maintain a minimum pressure of 1 megapascal in that line. So we kind of want to make sure this thing's always turning on if the pressure's low, even if the temperature's wonky, which is why we're using or and not and here. Anyway, that's what happens if this check fails. But what happens if this check succeeds, right? If there happens to be a gas in that pipe that is less than 25 Celsius, well, we want to heat it up. So we're going to jump down here to this function. Right at the beginning, we're going to turn off the gas mixer. I want to make sure that whatever work we're doing, it isn't being interfered with new gas coming through. So that's step 1, we turn off the gas mixer. Step 2, we turn on the pipe heaters. We wouldn't be down here if the gas wasn't below temperature, so we know we want those to be on. And of course, once we exit this function, the first thing we're going to do is turn those heaters off anyway, so we know they're not going to be stuck in a runaway loop. Next up, we're going to load once more the pipe temperature. Now, we already have it up here. We don't actually need to load it again, but you never know how much time is going to transpire between this point and this point. We don't know how long this thing's been looping or whatever, so just for the avoidance of doubt, I'm just going to load it again. It's running 2 lines of code. My computer will not catch fire. No one will die. We don't need to panic. Okay, so we're going to load the temperature one more time, convert it to Celsius one more time, and then, people, then we are going to do another branch. We're basically going to say, check this temperature, and if, just like up here, if the temperature happens to be less than 25, start again. Go up here, which basically, in this case, just means keep the heater on. Okay, so we're going to jump here, jump there, keep the heater on. Jump there, keep the heater on. And that's why we're loading the temperature a second time. It's because we don't know how long we're going to be stuck in this loop. If we were just using the variable that we used at the beginning, this would never end, right? Because we never check the temperature again. We got to check it again now that we're sort of looping here. However, if at some point we're in this loop, and now the temperature in that pipe goes over 25, well, then we want to jump back up to here. We turn off the pipe heaters, and we check the pressure and temperature again so that our gas mixer decides whether or not it needs to turn on. So that's it. It's a slightly more complicated form of coding. I've been hoping to try and sort of build up to these slightly more complicated constructions, but I think this is going to work. We're going to find out together, because I've never tested this one. There's a pipe analyzer, okay, and there's our gas mixer. All right, now you turn on. That thing will turn itself on because the pressure in there is too low. That is correct. But the pipe heaters have kept themselves off. That is also correct. Also, I'm out of food and water. Oh, goodness. Let's go over here. And now We still need to do the pressure checks on these, but it'll be a while before they're anywhere near ready to blow up, and we can handle that next time. For now, we need to go inside and enjoy the fruits of our labor. I mean, that's at 500 kilopascals. That's at 627 pascals. That's almost a megapascal. That's lower. This thing needs to be set to on, because I think we are... Oh god, we've been siphoning out our damn line the whole time. Okay, now we're pressurizing it. I was vacuuming out all of my gas. Because this was set the wrong way. Oh no. Oh no, that's tragic. Oh, that's such a silly, goofy mistake. I told you, man, there are so many ways to accidentally off yourself in this game. It's what makes it so much fun. With his eldritch runes sufficiently entombed in silicon, Mark ceased his coding wizardry and switched over to tidying up the greenhouse ahead of his planned renovations. I'm not sure why we're evil, but perhaps it has something to do with the ice crusher, which was relocated to the other side of the room and wired into the return line, after which all the other filters were given their own accursed icy temp chips, and the management scripts needed to keep them company. Oh, God. As we wind up day 30, I'd like to take a moment to talk about something else. Not our content, not the content you can find over on the members only page were you to sign up. Ha ha ha. No, genuinely. I want to talk about Stationeers and the community and the project in general. For those of you that didn't know, the developers behind this game, Rocketworks, are actually producing Stationeers at an acknowledged loss. As in, they've gone on record in public to say that they know this game makes no money, they know the game will likely never make any money, and that they don't care. They are going to continue to support it and develop it despite this. It is a passion project, a project of love and amazing effort, and it shows in every seam and update that this game gets. And honestly, I don't think the game would have that spirit and life force behind it if not for the community that it supports. Not just the players, who are the backbone of any game, obviously, but also the content creators out there who do so much work to highlight the truly incredible achievement that this game represents. So I'd like to shout out a couple of them, and of course there are many more out there who are making amazing content, and if you're someone who is making Stationeers content, please let us know down in the comments, and hopefully people will come over to your channel and check out the stuff you're making. But specifically the people I watch are Elmotrix, Cows Are Evil, God, the creator of the universe, which is an absolutely insane name for a YouTube channel, and who makes just some of the coolest, vibiest update videos I've ever seen. Couldn't describe the aesthetic if you put a gun to my head, but my god, do I love them. I like Semler.pdx, who has a very slow, chill playstyle, but with lots of detail. I love a good old splitsy or flipsy video. I mean, the guy's one of the greats of this genre. And of course, there's the Scarlet Seeker, who hasn't actually made content on the game in a little while, as far as I know, but when he did make it, man, it made me want to make better Stationeers content, so thanks to Scarlet Seeker for that one. And of course, finally, and the greatest mention of all, the GOAT, Radamant, the person who put me onto this game in the first place, and who continues to produce some of the best Let's Plays of Stationeers I've ever seen. So, if you haven't heard of any of those people, please, we'll have links to their channels in the description of this video. Go check them out, give them a like, give them a follow, support them in any way you're willing to, and in general, please make sure that this game doesn't die. It is such an incredible project, and it's one that is entirely up to you and I to keep going. Thank you all so much for watching today, and as always, the Shroom and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.
Temperature critical. Pressure critical. Oxygen critical.